Hello, Capitan.
What's up, buddy? We're back. We're back. Sorry we missed out. We didn't drop anything last week, so we're sorry about that. But we were too busy celebrating that good thing that America's known for, freedom.
Yeah.
So we had quite the 4th of July weekend. Thank you for having me and the rest of the lunatics up at that compound of yours.
No problem, man. We just put up a video. I actually just put up a video on the Instagram story, a little preview of the insanity that occurred the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking any liquor tonight. I'm just gonna be drinking water. I'm still a little hungover.
And that's
Cheers
when
to
I
that.
crack open.
Good boy.
Cheers, pal. Good old Montauk Summer Ale. Can't wait to go to Montauk.
Me too, man. I hope it's not fucked this year, though. We saw earlier today that some of the bars are being threatened with closing down because they're not following coronavirus regulations. I mean, it's just crazy, dude. You know, let's fucking beat the dead horse again. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just
The
bars,
second wave-
small businesses, they're gonna be in trouble and closed down for letting people I guess
No matter
drink
what.
at them. You know, the thing that they're there for. They're getting in trouble for that. Yet, people can go crazy and congregate in the streets, and no problem.
Texas actually released a statement. I forget in what area, so I'm just going to say Texas in general, that like all indoor dining is now like off limits again, and that certain gatherings of a certain size will be you call the cops on these people and stuff like that. But any forms of protesting are encouraged to continue. I think there was a number that said 26 million people have participated in protesting over the past month and a half. And you want to tell me restaurants and bars that have 50% capacity, where I've been to several restaurants now. These poor waiters and waitresses, one, they're so happy to be back to work, and two, their owners are cracking literal whips to make sure these restaurants are spotless 24/7. And you really mean to tell me that we're getting this second wave from half-empty bars and restaurants? Not happening, pal. Not happening.
No, I mean it's a little bit of everything. It's the protests. It's people not wearing masks. It's people congregating anywhere. It's not just one thing. And I don't know why. What is this thing that we have to punish businesses so hard for this?
Yeah.
Like the government is so
businesses.
focused. Yeah, on small bit. You don't see them. You don't see them coming after Walmart or any of the big box fucking stores, Home Depot. You know, you mean to tell me that there's not some violations in Home Depot? Sometimes people stand right next to each other in the aisles and shit.
I go to Whole Foods every week. Once a week I go there, and there's still, I call it the bread line to get in. You got to wait 15 minutes, like a fucking nightclub, to get into Whole Foods. But once you're in there, not a single person practice social distancing. There is no 6 feet apart.
Right.
I have stood over fresh produce with complete strangers to the left and the right of me. Oh, I'll take this one. Oh, okay, yeah, you have that one. That's not a problem. But sitting in a clean, sterile restaurant, we're spreading it. Don't get me wrong. A small percentage is coming from people going back out to these clubs and people, all these beach bars that are fucking packed wall to wall. Of course, it's going to happen in there. But you can't tell me that, when 1,500 people gather to kick down some gates of a private community and start storming the streets, that they're not spreading it either.
Yeah, what you just said is a good point too. Let's fucking talk like logically here. If I'm standing at a bar and I'm standing right next to somebody, I guess there's, I'm violating social distancing rules, and that's why the bar gets in trouble. And then what you said is you're standing at the produce section at the fucking supermarket, and you're standing in the same proximity that you could be standing next to somebody in the bar. It's the same thing. Does coronavirus know the difference between a bar and the supermarket? Is it going to not infect that person because of that?
Yeah. Coronavirus is the
smartest fucking disease
most
I've ever heard
woke
of.
virus of our.
It is pretty woke. Yeah.
Like I said, when Como, it's a social justice warrior. It's fucking. We really need to study this virus because it'll skip over protests, and it's got a lively social life too because it loves going to restaurants and bars. You know what I mean? It's all for being a social
I don't
justice
think I've heard
warrior
anyone
and
say
having a
that
night
before.
out
That's
drinking
so
with
funny.
the boys.
It has a good social life.
I mean, it's only. Yeah, but like I said on my Facebook, when Como shut down the New York restaurants, the indoor seating, the owners should just hold protests. We're allowed to have protests.
Yeah, we'll protest in the bar.
You know what I mean?
I protest at the bar every weekend. I was doing that before coronavirus even happened.
That you don't want to go home.
Right. Yeah. We've had quite a few fucking protests. Those are protests over the years.
I'm not fucking leaving.
Yep. So crazy,
what
crazy
was the thing
week.
that you,
What's that? What I sent you
Dude,
before? I sent you the CNN
Yeah.
article before, and it said that the Black Lives Matter protests have not contributed to the second wave of increase in fucking people getting sick this time. I mean, come on, how woke how woke do we need to be that we're gonna just ignore facts? I support the protest, but you can't also tell me that it doesn't mean that there's no way people are getting sick at them. Come on,
Dude, you think anybody gave a shit when they were living in the chop? Like, were they really practicing social distance? It's ridiculous. Okay, look, politically biased, you don't like Trump, they made the whole virus political and shit. As like a functioning human being that understands like a bit of life and how the world works, how can you really peddle this story? Think about it. Like, okay, there's that picture in LA of them protesting, and it looks like there's 1 million people crammed into like a 3-block square radius. It's insane how many people are protesting in this street. How can you tell me, as an adult getting my information from a credible news source, like, how can you push this story? You know what I mean? Like, how stupid do you really take us?
That was a CNN article that I sent you, and dude, they don't care about the truth. Neither does Fox News, but let's talk about CNN.
No.
They don't care about reality. They don't care about anything that sounds like you said. How could you be a logical human being and push that story? They don't give a fuck about being a logical human being. The real question is, how can you be a logical human being and buy that story? How can you believe that fucking story? You know what I mean? Like me and you, obviously not. Like we talked about in the last episode, the sheepdog wolf. You don't be a sheep. You're gonna fucking read that thing, watch that whatever they're talking about there, and believe that. Come on, wake up,
dude. I had an argument with a good friend that he really thinks that the news is saying that the restaurants are causing these, and he's like, oh, dude, the businesses got to stay shut down longer. The businesses are the reason why all this is outbreaking and shit, blah blah. But you won't also agree that like the protests are also pushing this. And mind you, the media won't put out there that I think on a day-to-day basis, we are hitting record lows of deaths.
Yeah.
I think Trump actually just tweeted something about that too, that they won't report it either. Infection rate is
It's not that they're not reporting it.
Scary.
Yeah. It's not that they're not reporting it. It's that they're not recording it. It's not that they're not recording it. They are recording the fact that not as many people are dying. They're not, like I said, though, reporting it and putting it out there. They're ignoring that statistic. And I've heard some people...
Because that's not scary.
Dude, I've heard some people... I saw a tweet the other day. This guy was trying to say, oh, no, the death rate has gone up. And he was showing all these statistics. Even his statistics didn't show it going up. Like, he was just denying the only... He was posting graphs of the mortality rate and how it's going down, and he was trying to say how it's going up while the graph showed it went down. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, is this guy trolling or is he for real? But he was one of those woke left people, and he was being dead serious.
I guess the Earth is flat too. Then his charts doesn't even show what he's talking about.
That's where we.
Here's my chart here of the New York Yankees, but this is really the Boston Red Sox. It says Yankees, but it's the Red Sox. That's a nice owl you got on the flag behind you back there.
Oh, that one, yeah. That's House Lannister's sigil, actually.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I didn't even want to do research like this week, because it's just so ridiculous how. What? I mean, what research can we do?
Let's make up our own fucking reality here.
We might as well. Like, the aliens are coming down and they're going to start abducting cows again, and the price of beef is going to go up.
Right.
You heard it here first, kids.
They'll create another, they'll use aliens as the excuse now for the next beef shortage when there really is no beef shortage because we got to sell it.
There was, funny enough, though, I saw on one of my conspiracy pages that the Senate or something is trying to push bills through to let the citizens of America in on like what's been going on with aliens and shit. It's just another distraction tactic. All of a sudden, just so Trump won't get reelected, we'll reveal that aliens have been running the show the whole time.
They're behind everything.
Oh, the lizard people, man. Fucking Hillary Clinton and all of them in the spaceship together. But I don't believe this conspiracy one fucking bit, but I'm just saying how ridiculous even some of the shit on the other side is, too.
Yeah, I hear you. You know what's another fucking ridiculous thing that happened since we did an episode? Europe released their travel restrictions on most of the countries in the world, including China.
Oh yeah,
but they didn't.
You were really interested about this.
They didn't release their restrictions on the United States, though. If that's Europe is very liberal and left wing. Like almost every country, for the most part, is even the conservatives are pretty liberal in Europe. But if that's not a political move, instead of a move based in fact, if I've ever seen one, man. Are you kidding me? How do you release the restriction on people from China? They have lied from day one about their numbers, about the virus itself. They've lied about everything. But you want to continue to punish Americans because our numbers are high because we're testing a lot of people. You guys in Europe, Italy, France, Germany, you should fucking test as many people as we do and put that much effort into it behind it. And I guarantee your numbers will go up. Of course, if someone's not tested, the counter is not going to go up for that one person that's sick if they weren't tested. If we tested all 350 million Americans, no shit, we'd have the fucking highest count of people sick in the world because we tested everybody. If you only test, that's where I agree with Trump. He says that all the time. If we stopped testing, we'd have low numbers. He doesn't have the best delivery in the way he talks about things, but he's right. He's right. If you want to just talk about it in like plain fucking terms, if we didn't test anybody, there'd be no number or justification for these countries that want to play politics to ban us from coming there.
And here's the whole problem. So we don't like the way Trump delivers actual news, so that those facts get pushed to the side, and then CNN is left open to push this ridiculous article that millions of people protesting have not caused a spike in this shit.
Right.
It's ridiculous. The way the news is delivered is the problem. It's insane how weak people actually are. But yeah, that shit with Europe is crazy. And I find it suspicious, too, that they opened it to China. Because you know what that tells me? So let's think globalists. Let's think, New World Order type of conspiracy shit. So if China does own parts of Europe or is working with corrupt individuals in Europe, and China can't get into America to create a bigger second wave, no Americans are allowed in Europe, but people from China are allowed in Europe. Then you take a flight from Europe over to America.
It's possible.
Did we ban them? Did we ban them?
Yeah, they can't come here. Chinese people right now.
No, Europe.
I don't know. Did we? I don't remember. I haven't looked that up. It's the other way around.
I think that travel ban lifted a long time ago.
I don't think you could come. I'm not sure what the status is even with like banning people traveling from China right now, to be honest with you. But I don't think you could skip. Like I don't think you could hop from China to Europe and then come here because you'd still have a Chinese passport when you got here. If there's some sort of restriction, they wouldn't allow you entry. They'd, turn your ass around and send you home. But I'm not sure what the status is on us banning them. I would assume there is some sort of ban still, especially because they haven't released a ban on us. So, there's going to be some political jockeying in that aspect also. Why should
Trump's
going to
go tit for tat. Yeah. There's going to be a tit for tat play regardless. What do you think would happen if we did have, like, Hillary won and we had open borders? Like, how could you restrict somebody then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's say she opened up the open borders. There is no borders between Mexico and America, between Canada and America. And now a pandemic breaks out and China is still just allowed to come here. Like, you know what I mean?
How do you control your border? To her credit, though, I mean, I don't think Hillary was advocating for straight open borders. I feel like that's a right-wing nut job talking point. And Hillary Clinton is the most evil, despicable person on the face of the earth. And I mean, I'm going to give her some credit. I don't think she ever said we should have open borders.
I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's down for it.
I would think he is more than her because he seems to be leaning way more into the woke aspect of everything. Yeah, the mob. Where Hillary was so phony and she was so corporatist Democrat that she wasn't interested in any of that woke shit, and it was just there. You could tell she wasn't. You better Pokemon go to the polls. You know what I mean? Like she was so fucking phony. She had no interest in any of that woke shit.
Yeah, No, I could agree with you there. But I was just wondering, like, what the fuck's the outcome if
What
you
would it be like
fucking
if you
had
had
open
open
borders?
borders?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be. I don't know, dude. It'd be mayhem here. The cartels would fucking just send people over and just continue
Yeah.
fucking flooding the place with drugs and whatnot. It'd look
Yeah.
like the way some parts of Mexico probably look. Honestly, dude, like
Yeah.
it'd be crazy.
Yeah, and there'd be no way to the pandemic would have ran through us from north to the south easily.
Yeah,
Even if you try to ban them, they would just go to Canada or Mexico.
yeah.
Anyway, and come on up.
What would happen is if you had no physical border or weren't prepared to enforce a border because you abolished your border, when it comes time to when a pandemic comes and you now need a border, you wouldn't be able. How quickly would you be able to reinforce the border which you demolished already? You'd be fucked. You'd be fucked.
Yeah. Just another good move. Like we said, when CHOP was created,
The first thing they did, yeah.
It was build a wall, and make borders.
First thing
so.
the Seattle protesters did right was build a wall, create their own police
Got
department,
guns,
and then go and abuse power that they claim
Yeah.
that police are always doing. Right? I've seen multiple videos of guys, walking like punching people. A couple of people got shot there, and I saw one video of a guy was walking down the street, and then somebody hits him.
Killed that.
They killed Hill.
Yeah, they killed that guy.
Right.
Oh shit. His father was just on the news this morning. I can't believe I forgot his name already. But
Yes,
the
the
mayor
one-
of Seattle said nothing.
Yeah, and Trump called the
and
guy
he's
to give
trying
him his
to-
condolences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Black Lives Matter on that? You guys, it's a reason. This guy didn't need to die this way. You think he was supposed to die in a capital autonomous zone, like
Right, in a protest,
free America?
protest zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, dude. Like, we've talked about it multiple times. I agree with the statement and the sentiment, Black Lives Matter, and that something's wrong. There's systematic problems in the country. But the fucking group sucks. They are atrocious. They have some other sort of agenda in mind, and it's not even really about Black Lives Mattering.
Yeah.
It's some other shit. And
It's
they're playing the
Yeah,
game
they-
that all the media is playing, and it's just bullshit,
they're it's got to be Soros funded. It's got to
Yeah.
be funded by one of these billion trillionaires to just cause mayhem for the election year. Because I said this on a previous episode. Like you said, I'm all for what the Black Lives Matter movement stands for and like the justice for George Floyd and all this stuff. But what they want now it's completely different. The amount of Black lives that have been ruined since these protests have started, the amount of Black lives that have
They
died,
get ignored.
they completely just steamrolled, and then they're not even calling for justice anymore. They want like free rent. You know what I mean? Like, so we're gonna abolish landlords too. And so like
A few of our cop friends shared videos of people chanting "No pigs, no landlords" or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So this was what leads me to believe that they have some sort of different motive behind everything. And I heard this guy Colin Noir. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about how the 3 women who are kind of like the founders of the organization are like
This is going to be an unpopular opinion.
Hey, this is the truth. This is the truth that they studied Marxism. They're like fully trained and studied in Marxism, and that's kind of like what their goal is. I didn't really do much research behind it myself, if that's the case, although I know the 3 women because we looked it up on a previous podcast. But if anybody doesn't know what Marxism is, Marxism is straight up the purest form of communism. So, that kind of makes sense, honestly, because I don't feel like the organization really has the like well-being and fixing things of problems Black people in America face today in mind anymore. They're using it as sort of this method to push this Marxist fucking thing on us. And I'm pretty socialist, dude, and so are you sometimes. But there's a total difference between socialist programs in a capitalist country and straight up, fucking
Communism.
Karl Marx, Joseph Stalin, all these guys, communism, where the government is going to dictate to you, you can only make this many potatoes, and because you got to feed this many people, and you're going to be a carpenter, and you're going to be a doctor. That those are 2 totally fucking different things. Total difference.
And you're going to pay
between
the same.
Right, exactly. That's a
it's
failed experiment that is not going to work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's something I learned recently, which is interesting. There's other shit going on here that the media is not shining the light on it whatsoever. And then
Dude,
when someone does shine a light on it, it's sometimes like a right wing nut job, and they don't have any credibility behind what they say. Like there's just
and nobody will believe it.
Yeah. Yep.
And dude, first, where's all their donations going? So there's that whole conspiracy that the unclaimed donations to Black Lives Matters that don't get claimed or whatever go to this other corporation called ACT or Think Blue, and then it gets deposited into Joe Biden's campaign funds. Which, first off, Joe Biden in the past 2 months has had the biggest increase in funding he's had his entire campaign, and the guy's not out on the road campaigning. So it's very fucking shady, because I'd like to know where all the people donating to Black Lives Matter, what that money is going to. Because it's not going to bettering schools or social programs or bringing jobs into impoverished areas, social programs for young kids growing up, or just even food banks or something. What have they done to make it better for Black lives? They got rid of Aunt Jemima and Uncle that's Elmer Fudd's gun. Like, what are they really doing? Like, you canceled a few TV shows. Yeah. What is racism done?
You see, my thing is, I agree with that, right? What exactly have they done? And I want to know what the fuck they're doing and what have they done. Not because I'm trying to discredit the sentiment that Black Lives Matter. It's because I want something to actually be done. And they're not doing anything besides dividing people and making matters worse. That's what it seems like. I don't know for certain. I'm not the fucking wizard of knowledge here, but that's what it seems like.
Okay, so a lot of celebrities, fucking Hollywood's very liberal, and every fucking celebrity's a goddamn keyboard warrior for social justice.
Oh my god!
Ice-T every day, the wild shit he posts on Instagram, it's just insane. But you're somebody who has millions in the bank account and you have millions of followers. How come I only ever heard about actors and actresses sending money to bail protesters out of jail? And why haven't I heard of any charity organizations started up by these liberal members in Hollywood to get better schools in the shitty parts of California or the ghettos of New York and shit like that? I haven't heard any of that. No new social programs. What's Alyssa Milano doing? She has plenty of money.
She started on her. I fucking hate her.
She's trying to get. All she's doing is trying to get the name of the Redskins changed. This is another thing that is not going to change anything. Why don't you go to Washington and get the fucking Washington Redskins to buy or build a new school for inner city kids or something like that?
That will do more good for people in real. That will do more like brick and mortar good for people than some woke shit of changing the Redskins name. Yeah. That's not going to really do anything. Yeah. Maybe white people who are keyboard warriors won't be as offended. Good job. That really helped anybody in the world. Yeah. That's why what you're saying is a lot of these celebrities they're just tooting their horn. They just want to seem woke, But this is why that whole sentiment is like a reason why I have respect for Colin Kaepernick, because he's controversial, and I think there's a lot of stupid shit he says and a lot of bad looks that he has and things he says are dumb. But I've seen him. He does get involved in the community, spends his money on like programs to help kids and teach kids about their rights and things like that. He does way more and gets like in the mud, the dirt in the mud with this type of shit than any Alyssa Milano, for example does, who just, types on her Twitter and just fights with people all day long and doesn't actually accomplish anything.
I'll give you that, because I don't know what he does in his off time or anything like that. So
I'm not saying he's the best guy ever, but I've seen him in the, you know what I mean? Like he gets in the weeds. But at least he's doing something. Yeah, and he's had a lot of bad looks, dude. There's a lot of things he said where I'm like, this guy's an idiot. But at least he's fucking trying to do something for like real, something substantial that's actually real. He's not on his fucking phone just tweeting things and trying to just. I mean, he does try to cancel shit, but he's actually in the field also.
Yeah, I mean, like, somebody who always shocks me, like how crazy left wing is, like Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk. Yeah. He's in every Avengers movie. This guy's made some fucking money over the past 10 years. How much would it really cost for you to just buy new books for all the kids in your local, all the local public schools, or just pick 2 of them and every kid gets new books? Mm-hmm. Like, how hard would it be for that?
Yeah,
what I mean? Be. But no, you're just gonna sit on your ass in your pool, because we're in this together and we're social distancing. But your backyard's like 45 acres. The Hulk could actually live back there, and you're just going to criticize everything Trump does instead.
And you're right. And you know what? Ricky Gervais said it the best when he shit on everybody in one of those award shows. And he's like, I think he said something along like, stop telling normal people what to do. What makes you the authority on how to live my life as a normal, average Joe guy? Right? Who the fuck are you? And then I saw someone else said, it's like, most normal people have gone through more education than any of these Hollywood actors. Why? Because the Hollywood actors are normally actors from a very young age, and they never go to like school to learn a trade or to learn anything, economics or social, history or anything like that. They go to acting school, and that's what they end up doing their whole life. So who the fuck are you? How are you smarter than me in any way whatsoever? Why? Because you know how to act. If anything, acting is fake. You know how to be fake really good. Right? So you could pretend like you know a lot of shit, but underneath you don't really know anything. The only thing you know how to do really well is be fake all the time. So please don't tell me what to do or how to behave.
In the end of the world situation, you have a choice between, who's a big fucking actor right now? Fucking
like a social justice warrior one, or
yeah.
All right, so say Captain America, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
He's
okay,
woke.
You have a choice. Okay, you have a choice between Chris Evans or your local master mechanic who could fix cars and knows everything about tools and machines. Who are you running off into the end of the world with?
Oh, I'm going with the mechanic, dude, without a fucking doubt, because I know he might have some useful application of knowledge. And Chris Evans, when the zombies comes, is going to pretend to be Captain America and then die.
The only thing Chris Evans could do is lift heavy objects. That's about it. I'd much take the mechanic too. You know what I mean? Who are you going to take, Robert Downey Jr. or somebody who has a boat and knows how to drive? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you got a hunter, a butcher, anybody other than some of these actors and actresses.
Yep. And it's just stop telling people what to believe or stop criticizing normal fucking people. Like that Covington school kid, for example. Do you remember when that shit happened? It was the Catholic school kids. Yeah, the Catholic school kids in Washington, and a video went viral on Twitter and the internet.
This was a while ago.
This was a while ago, but there was the kid, and he was in the face of a Native American guy who was beating his drums or whatever, and right away, and the kid was wearing a Make America Great Again hat. So right away, all the celebrities, people are doxing him. What's her fucking face? That woman who cut the head off of Trump. I forget her name. With the red hair. She was like, I want
she's
names.
Such a nobody now. I can't even remember her name.
She's like, I want names and numbers of these kids. Are you kidding me? They're just kids. And then later on, the rest of the video comes out, and you see it was really the Native American guy with the drum who got in their face. And not for nothing, but the kids actually handled themselves pretty well. They just kind of like stood there and was smiling.
There with
they didn't say anything wrong to the guy. They weren't making fun of him. They weren't being racist in any way. Well, I think all they were doing was chanting USA. Wow, that's so racist nowadays. But like the celebrities crucified that poor kid because they want to show that they know best. Get the fuck out of here. Give me a break.
And you could look this up. He has been suing everyone.
Good for him.
He sued CNN, CBS, NSNBC. I think a couple of celebrities. They were given the option to apologize or be taken to court. And a lot of people were like, take me to court. Oh, he's not going to win because they're so fucking woke. And the kids made like $250 million already.
Good for him. You know what happens, dude, when these videos, because all these videos coming out is they're like little matches that start fires in our society nowadays, right? When these videos come out, people
you only get half the video.
Yeah, right. That's problem number one. You only get a trimmed, like when me and you finish this podcast, I have to trim portions of this video to make it fit, right? People do the same thing with situations that they record. They trim the video to fit a narrative or whatever to because it's they need it to be a small clip. But when one of these videos comes out that's like controversial or something, these celebrities are tripping and falling over each other to try and get out there and make sure they put the most woke fucking post on Twitter and condemn people and whatnot. Nobody wants to hear from you. Right? On top of that, why don't you spend a few minutes and do some actual research and fucking look for the entire story before you trip and fall and go to condemn people? You don't know everything. And this is going to lead into what I wanted to talk about, which is Ken and Karen. What just happened since last time we did a podcast.
I can't wait to talk about them. But before we get into that, though, it's funny that you talk about how a video goes viral with a type of an opinion attached to it, and then all these celebrities start clamoring on Twitter and stuff. And I wish I took a screenshot of it, but on one of the pages I follow, it talks about how the media disrupts the country, and they release a edited story because, like we said, we get the half a story, and then all the blue checks, all the people who have the blue checks on Twitter start fucking sharing this. It's like a top down effect. And then they get all their little woke minions to follow it and share it, and then it becomes a big wildfire like this.
Yeah.
And it's funny that like a conspiracy page is even like going along the same lines as how this shit gets all blown out of proportion.
Let me add to what you're saying.
Needs to be blown up.
Let me add to what you're saying also that yes, people, you have the blue check, you share something, people start resharing it. Let me also add to what you're saying that Twitter definitely helps propagate, and Facebook, whatever, help propagate those posts because they fall in line with like that left wing, whatever woke nonsense that the companies themselves, the social media companies, want to post, right? So they help propagate that thing. So you'll probably see more often one of those type of posts. And and then for on the other side, if it's a conservative or whatever, they'll like shadow ban those people or suppress those posts from being seen. They're pushing the narrative.
All the
it's
time.
not just them; it's a combination of them, the celebrities, people retweeting it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a bubble. It's like a bubble where they're controlling everything you see and want to control what you think, and that's it. And you know what I mean? It's crazy, dude.
I'm pretty sure there's a big antitrust lawsuit pending against Google for interference with the 2016 election. You would like search Donald Trump and you would only get like Hillary Clinton shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how specific it was, but they did shadow banning and stuff. Yeah.
What's crazy about it too is like a company like Twitter. It's like it's like one of those California tech companies from Silicon Valley. Like the people that live there are going to work there. They're
so fake.
They're going to, but I'm just saying, just because of the way where the company's from and the way it's structured, it's going to get a lot of left wing people, woke people, to work for it. And
that's where they go to do all the polls for Biden.
But I'm saying, like, companies are made of people, right? So how do you necessarily even stop a company like a Twitter, let's just keep using that for an example, from pushing that left wing narrative when it's made up of people who are left wing? Are we gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird thing. Are we going to force them to hire right-wing people, or are we going to regulate everything? And then even if we regulated them and said, you have to do this, who's to say they're going to do it? Are we going to have to now audit the way they operate Twitter? It's just, it's a can of worms, dude. And
it's segregation, too, because you really think some guy from Texas growing up all right-wing moves out to California, you think they're going to give him the job?
No. They'll discriminate without doubt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a... Let me use the analogy.
It's like impossible to not. They put it in the right place to get this. Like,
think of it as a
going to be built
big
up
ship, right? And it's going at full steam. It's hard to turn that ship. It's almost impossible if you know what I mean. So that's the way I see it. Like, how can you really fix something like that? The only way you can maybe fix it is you as an individual have to realize that and not get so caught up into all this bullshit. You know. This back and forth.
That's going to be hard, yeah.
It's going to be hard, yeah. You know? Listen to podcasts, man. Listen to fucking podcasts. Don't go to fucking Twitter and whatnot for your news. There are good sources on Twitter. There's people that do good news reporting, you know? Like, they're on there, but you just got to be aware of what you're fucking reading.
That's, and that's where the propaganda comes in and the establishment. They love the confusion. The chaos is their order, you know?
There's not enough hours in the day for any one person to sort it all out, you know?
No. Not even a supercomputer. But I was going to say, let's go on about Ken and Karen, because that story really pissed me off, man. I'm glad to see, though, like the news cycle is like cycled through and it's over.
Cycled through it, yeah. The wave of hysterical fucking memes that came from it were just great. I enjoyed the shit out of those.
Oh, yeah. Those were good. But what a bullshit story. Here's a perfect example. Like we just talked about, you only get half the story. Mm-hmm. So what the media first threw out there was two rich white people pointing machine guns, because it was that demonic AR-15 again. And I got to say, for a gun lover, that guy had a nice clean
fucking
M4.
gun. Oh yeah, yep.
It was really nice.
I was like, wow.
I admired him, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't look like he really knew what he was doing with it, but it was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I want one of those in my arsenal, man. But I wanted to get that off my chest. I was like, this guy's got a nice fucking
the same
piece
thing.
over
Yeah,
here.
he needs a nice little scope or something on it, but nice the way he's got just the iron sights. He must be one of those Call of Duty guys who plays with the iron sights only. But that was a nice one.
But so here we go. All you saw was, now my favorite part was peaceful protesters. 300 peaceful protesters marching down this guy's block and him pointing the gun.
Yeah,
so right away you're led to believe. Yeah, right away you're led to believe that he's fucking just so angry to see Black Lives Matter outside of his house that he's ready to shoot them.
Right, he's racist.
In reality, he's a fucking Democrat and supports Black Lives Matter, hates Trump. You know what I mean? But it's a guy who lives in St. Louis. You got guns out there, whatever. He lives in a gated community, right? So it fit the narrative: rich white people with guns. What's the most evil person right now? Or rich white person with a gun? The Black Lives Matter that marched through his town, his little
gated community.
Yeah. They blew the gate off the hinges. It looked like they drove a fucking truck through it. He's the first house by that gate. You're outside in your backyard. It was a walled
gated community too, so it's not like this was an accident. They forcefully entered this gated community and this guy's property.
Yeah, I mean, so all the news promotes is the violence, the rioting. We've said it before, the peaceful protesters' voice have fallen silent due to the media. So now this guy has been quarantined. He sits inside and he watches CNN all day and sees nothing but, Fifth Avenue being destroyed, and now 300 plus people just blew the gate off of his backyard door.
Let's stop real quick, right? Anyone here listening, if you were in that situation and you were this guy and his wife, it doesn't, I'm not, whatever you are, right? How do you think you would react if exactly how the captain just set that up? How would you react if something like that happened to you? If that was your house, you've been watching TV, it's just nothing but, riots and people killing each other, shootings are way up, and this happens on your property. What would you think? Go ahead.
So now all of a sudden the media turns it. Oh, we got white people with guns in our crosshairs now. Peaceful protesters. All of a sudden, the voice of the peaceful protester came back, and they had to get this dude on Fox. He's a lawyer too, a big-time lawyer, and that's why I think the news cycle already cycled it out.
Yeah, they don't want to win.
Because a couple of big Democrats were like, "Oh, we're gonna investigate you." You mean to tell me shootings are up in California, New York, and Chicago? By New York, I think New York is up by like 250%. The shootings. You're going to waste the FBI's time on investigating two fucking law-abiding citizens that drew guns on people, but you're not going to investigate all these shootings. Yeah. Yep. So this guy got on Fox with his own attorney, and he's a lawyer. There was no way they could try this guy. He would have wiped the floor with them. This is a knowledgeable, and that's the other thing. He was too smart for them.
He did wipe the floor with them, bro. He was on CNN, I think, too, going back and forth with one of the guys, maybe Jake Tapper or Chris Cuomo. And
Chris Cuomo.
Yeah, and he was saying, he's like, I have sympathy for this whole movement and the protests and whatnot going on. He's like, my intention wasn't to get caught up in this whole thing. Or gun debate and everything. Plain and simple, people trespassed onto his property. In the moment, you don't know if these people are here to torch your house and kill you, or if they're here to protest. Number one, they've forcefully entered, so that would lead you to believe, like I was saying before, what would you think, right? It would, if it was me, if I was this guy, it would lead me to believe these people are here to do me harm or to torch my house or something. Like I said, even me. I am on the side of Black Lives Matter. I'm coming out there with my fucking gun because I don't know if these guys are on the side of peaceful protesting. They could just be criminals looking to be opportunists and just fucking, just whatever, just rob me or fucking kill me.
How many times have we heard Antifa and Black Lives Matter in the past few weeks talk about and fantasize about, we're going to the suburbs, all the people of the suburbs are next. We're coming for you. We're coming for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now you march through the suburbs.
What does that even mean? You know how many people in the suburbs are believe in this cause? So what the fuck? That's inherently biased right there. You're treating everybody who lives in
Yeah.
the suburbs as if they're racist part of the problem. You know what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah. So they're gonna burn down every house that doesn't have a Black Lives Matter,
Right.
sign in front of it and
Right.
shit. Like,
What about the black people who lives in the suburbs? Because they exist. You
yeah,
know, it's not impossible. There are some that live in the suburbs and have done well for themselves and have nice homes and families. Are we going to come for them too? And it just, man, everything
Well,
is just so Looney Tunes, dude.
and it's such a strange. Like I said, it's an amazing time we live in right now. Because how can you even have the balls to push these stories? Protests in the thousands don't create a COVID spike. People being threatened that angry mobs are going to come to the suburbs, and when they do, you get in trouble for defending yourself. Like, how do you even have the balls to push these stories? You know what type of sheep you really have to be to like just sit there and go, oh yeah, this is right, yeah. The COVID, it skips over all the fucking protests, and those people rioting were violent, and those people that were getting the gun pointed at them were peaceful. Oh yeah, no, this is right. How can you even have the balls to like just do this one lane fucking road?
You see,
and Chris Cuomo.
good.
Chris Cuomo, when he interviewed Ken, whatever the guy's name is,
His name's actually
he
Ken
said,
too, which is amazing. His first name's Ken.
he said, he said something that Trump didn't delete a tweet because he likes the way that it promoted anger towards Black Lives Matter or something. He made such a wild accusation that even the guy Ken was like, well, I'm glad you could read minds because no one in America, including me, thinks you can. Like, he like shoved it right back down his throat.
I think like the guy never saw. I think he's like, I never read that tweet. He's like, I don't know anything about it. You're just trying to draw a conclusion from one thing and point it to another when they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, think of all the shootings that have gone on, and we don't bring up any gun debates. But when a white person had a gun, we brought up a gun debate. Mm-hmm. There's a video. One of our cops friends was showing it right here in New York. The dude that got shot in front of his 6-year-old daughter by a drive-by.
Yes.
I don't know
oh
if
my
you've
god,
seen
that was fucking terrible. I just watched it before we started.
Horrifying. Horrifying. So where's the gun debate?
Yeah, where's the Black Lives Matter? Because that guy was black too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Where's the gun debate? Where's Black Lives Matter? Where's the gun debate? But when the white people had it, and then there was that other girl who had the handgun, and she kept some dude in his car. It was a black guy, and they videotaped her from inside the car. They don't talk about how I'm pretty sure they were harassing her to the point that she felt she needed to do this. You know what I mean? Like that they were threatening her.
That was another video. Yeah, that I watched.
I didn't follow that one too much.
Yeah, I watched the whole video on that one. It was basically another Karen, right? And a Karen means now basically a white woman who's mad or scared or something. And they were in a parking lot of some sorts. This Karen, her husband, and they had their car, and then there was 2 African American ladies that they were arguing with. Hard to really understand what they're even arguing about. I think they were arguing about parking spaces or something, which happens all the time. People argue about parking spaces all the time. So they're out of the car, they're all yelling at each other, and the Karen said, because they were accusing her of being racist. The black ladies were accusing this Karen of being racist. Right. And she's like, I'm not racist. She's like, I sympathize with everything going on. I understand what's going on. And they're like going back and forth. The husband comes out, he tries to calm things down. He sees he's not going to get anywhere. He gets back in the car. They're both in the car. They start backing up, and one of the ladies runs behind the car and starts banging on the window, like, basically putting herself in the way of the car backing up there, almost accidentally running over. So Karen gets out of the car, and she pulls her Glock, or whatever she has out, and she's like, get the fuck away from my car. All right. She had kind of, in my opinion, every right to do that. I wouldn't maybe not have pointed the gun right at the person, but I would have shown the steel. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? And now, you don't know right now what's going on. People could attack you.
Shootings are up, man.
Yeah, right, at any moment. So you know what I mean? And then what happened was that video got trimmed to just that moment where she was pointing the gun at the 2 of them with zero context behind any of it. So it's literally the same thing that happened to Ken happened to this other Karen here. And then, bam! Twitter runs away with it and is spinning the whole, racist white woman narrative when that's not what it was. Earlier in the video, she even told him, she's like, I sympathize with everything going on.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't want to say these people, but these people are so irate with everything that's going on, and they are screaming for just this
Let's say
wild
when you
form
say
of
these
justice.
people, let's classify these people as social justice Twitter keyboard warriors, something like that.
These crazy, these crazy social justice warriors, like they scream for this insane form of justice that they want, but like it's to a point you can't even agree with them. You know what I mean? Like the woman that was being harassed was agreeing that she sympathizes. My God, she agrees with Black Lives Matter, and she's still getting attacked. It didn't matter that she agreed or not. You know what I mean? And then at what point does it become like racist? Like, what, she agreed with you, so now what's the next problem? Is it because she's white? You know what I mean? Like, what was the new problem that you had to keep this up even after you knew she agreed with you?
Yeah. What's crazy, dude, is like society is so polarized and charged right now that an argument over a parking spot becomes the big headline argument in society right now. You know what I mean? Like, parking spot arguments happen all the fucking time, but now they turn into a black versus white, Black Lives Matter versus racist Trump supporter thing. Yeah, that's how crazy everything is right now, dude. People are so divided.
Dude, you see the Black Panther militia in Georgia?
Yeah, I briefly saw that, but I didn't look much into it.
Just a Black Panther militia, completely armed, assault rifles, handguns, everything. We're stopping traffic and questioning white people on reparations. I don't have the full story. Could you imagine? And also declaring a war on rednecks, which is also insane. So now it's the Confederates versus Antifa and Black Panthers, which is just wild. But could you imagine if, I don't know, the KKK armed up and started stopping black people in traffic and questioning them? You know what the news would be doing about that?
It'd be crazy. Which is an interesting point, right? Because in the past, the KKK basically has done shit like that, and like nobody did anything about it. You know, the police,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
FBI. You've heard of the Tulsa massacre, right? That was all the KKK. Just like went into a predominantly African American neighborhood and just killed everybody for no reason, and nothing was really done. They weren't. The KKK still exists. Should it? No. But it does. So it's interesting. But meanwhile, I'm just kind of giving you the devil's advocate thing here.
No, I didn't think of that point either. So.
Meanwhile, back during the civil rights days, the federal government did everything they possibly could to eradicate the Black Panther group. I guess you could kind of say that the KKK and the Black. I don't know if I want to make this correlation so strong, but the KKK and the Black Panther group are similar in a way. They're both like idealistic groups that.
That's gonna be an unpopular opinion.
I don't mean that I don't mean that their ideals are similar. I mean that they're similar in that they're like they're groups that have ideals
This
and they're willing.
Organization.
These extremist ideals, and they're willing to use violence to promote them. And one was stomped out by the federal government, and the other one was basically infiltrated the federal government. A lot of the guys in the government at that time, especially during the civil rights days, were KKK members. You know what I mean? So,
which is crazy.
It's just an interesting counterpoint to something like that. Obviously, whatever those guys are doing in Georgia, I don't really know the full story behind it. If it's even real, it could be a fucking staged thing. Who knows? But that's not right.
I find it insane. I mean, what do you do at that point? Like, okay, so you have protesters blocking the road.
What do you do? When people get ran over with,
you know what I mean. And then now you have protesters armed to the teeth. You know what I mean? Like, you run it over, you're gonna get turned into Swiss cheese, or you're gonna sit there and get turned into Swiss cheese. Like, it really leaves you with like completely defenseless. And this was something that I thought up earlier, and it could be a whole new topic. We could go on to whatever you want, but like, eventually, right now, nobody's standing up to the mob. We see the government's bending the knee to the mob. We see the media industry. We see Hollywood. All these elites that run a lot of stuff, corporations, all bending the knee to the mob.
Let me also throw in there some little criticism. You see also the police are not necessarily bending the knee, but they're just kind of, some of them in some cases are just skipping out on their duty because they feel maligned, which they are. which they are. So let's also throw them into the batch that for different reasons, maybe they're not bending the knee, but they're kind of just like abdicating their duty because they feel maligned, which they are. But that's another reason things are so fucked up.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I know the morale in New York City is that the city's lost. Don't die trying to be a hero. Yeah. And you know, I know cops that they would like to get out, and I can't blame them because you did all this work to become this upstanding citizen to help people, and your mayor threw away the city to the opposing team. So, you know, you have all these people, and fuck. Where did I start with this now?
That everybody was bending the knee to the mob. No one's standing up to the mob.
So right. So it's basic. I mean, we have the powder keg. We have all the ingredients for a civil war here, or a real race war style civil war. Even if it's not, that's the way the media will portray it. Eventually, people are going to stand up to the mob. You can't just, you know what I mean? Like we saw it in the Bronx when all those blocks were getting destroyed. Fucking Allerton Avenue or whatever over there had 50 dudes on each corner with baseball bats and shit ready to go. You can't just expect to start taking over busy streets in Atlanta with 300 people with guns. And this is like the new way of life, and nobody's going to stand up to you. Like, eventually, someone's going to stand up to you, and then that's going to be the media's new supervillain. B, it's going to be tied in with Trump's team. Like, it's all like it's almost like creating a civil war where like all the like little blocks are falling right into place right now, because eventually the corporations and the people in Hollywood, they don't suffer by bending the knee to the mob. If you're the CEO of, you know, company A, B, and C, and you cancel product A because it's racist, fine, you're making a little bit less money, but you still have a corporation. You're not these people sitting in a car being surrounded by 25 people with assault rifles, whether they're black or white. It would be scary regardless if 20 people walked up to you with guns, and just whatever question they gave you, they won't even agree with you, even if you agree with them. Somebody's going to stand up. Somebody's going to spark that powder keg, and it's going to get turned into a big political thing as well.
Yeah.
It's sad how it's almost falling into place.
It is. And this is actually going to lead me into, you're going to set me up here for something I was talking to you and the guys about the other day is...
I hope it wasn't on the 4th.
No. How America's main problem, yes, America has systematic racial problems since the inception of America. There was slavery, and black people have not been treated fairly in this country. But I feel like our main problem is class struggle. I was telling you guys about this the other day, right? And what I mean by class struggle is the rich and the poor. And the rich are always looking to maintain their power and their status and their wealth, and they're looking to use by any means necessary that status quo, right? So what does that mean? We're not discussing right now things that Bernie Sanders, for example, was talking about how the minimum wage is very low, we don't have any health care, we spend way too much money on the military. Instead, we're talking about, you know, the fact that police officers need to be defunded, and they're all racist, and this and that, and they're
Jemima,
right, and the corporations are fully behind that narrative. They want to be behind the social justice, social issues narrative. Why? Because any and all means to distract away from the real problem I feel is at heart in America is class struggle. They don't ever want class struggle to be acknowledged or addressed, ever. Even if that means buying into a race war, damn right they're going to buy into that race war, because why? They don't give a fuck. They don't care about black people. They want to maintain them being rich, controlling the government, because they can lobby the shit out of Congress and get whatever laws passed they want. They put fucking lawyers in there to help the congressmen write laws. They contribute to political campaigns. They do whatever they want. And the government and the people are not... People's way to address things in this country is supposed to be through the government, right? We have a republic where the government's supposed to represent us, but it's been taken over by corporations looking to maintain this status quo of the class, right? Of like the rich and whatnot. This is going to sound really Marxist to begin with on my part.
No, but I get what you're saying. You know, there's no representation. There's no accountability for our leaders. What the leaders are there for are not doing what we're asking them to do. They're not even doing what they're originally there for.
And when they do, like I was saying before, Bernie Sanders was calling for. Bernie Sanders was. That's why I liked him so much, because he addresses a lot of class issues, right? And when someone like him does, he's castigated and thrown aside, and he's, they do everything in their power to fucking make sure that he has no chance, and whatnot.
That goes to the uneducation of people. Like, listen, like, I didn't like him because, I have there was some stuff I agreed with him on, but, he was going to have to really produce a lot of gold for me before I, dropped from Trump to vote for him. But, my point is, this whole uneducation part is everybody is, because Trump gets this too, everybody is always screaming, we need change, we need change, we need change. The second somebody brings about change, demonized, completely demonized. Yes. We know Trump's not an establishment guy. He would have made changes that, fine, you might have not agreed with. Fine, they were more right-wing, but they were changes. Demonized. Bernie Sanders was going to make changes from the left-wing point of view. Right. He should have always ran as an independent. I think he would have been, I don't know if he probably still wouldn't have won, but the DNC wouldn't have been able to screw him over, and he probably would have got really far. But here we go. Here's a Democrat who is advocating for actual change, demonized, fucked over by his own people. Like, insane.
Yep.
Everybody wants change. Everyone wants change until there's change on the table.
And let me be clear too. When I'm saying that America's real problem is class struggle and not race struggle, that doesn't mean that there's not problems with racism and they're one and the same.
No,
right?
It's okay. You could talk about different topics. It does, we can't get in trouble. No.
I'm just trying to make my point clear. I'm trying to make my point clear. What I mean is that the struggles are one and the same. It's just the powers that be are always trying to make sure that never comes to light, that there is a class struggle here. Yes, white people are part of the poor class. Yes, African American people are part of the poor class. I'm talking about rich versus poor. That's the real race war, right? And the rich use racism as a tool to keep the poor divided, right? Just like in the people's history of the United States, it is fucking proven in this country that that's what they have done from the moment the country was founded until now. The playbook has not changed. It's the same playbook that the powers that be are running. Their weapons have gotten more sophisticated. Racism exists, but the rich use it as a way to distract and to keep everyone divided so that they never unite and make everything a little bit better for everyone. Certain people want to always have everything, and they don't want everybody else to really get better. Why? I don't know. Maybe that's human nature or something, that people are super greedy, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, and honestly, racism like that is something that is just spoon-fed to everyone. Because, I've met so many people, and you've met so many people, and I've never really met, I maybe met people who disliked certain, not that I associate with races, but I've met people who, dislike certain races or whatnot, but I've never seen, a true racist person or met a true racist person where, they can't even be in the same room as the race they oppose.
Okay. So let's say a racist person is like the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. A racist is a guy or a woman who's their motive is to destroy races that they don't like. But then you could have a prejudiced person, right? Which they're not going out of their way to go to a meeting or to blow up a church full of black people. They're just prejudiced. They don't like them. They have stereotypes in their mind about them and whatnot. So there's a difference between
they have stupid opinions,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but and it's you would think if you listen to the media that there's just so many people out there that want to destroy this particular race or eradicate or change this race, when none of us meet these people. You know what I mean? It's really not something it's got to be such a low percentage of
the media
people
is showing us
country.
The extremes of everything. They're showing us, or they're painting everything out to be the extremes. Any white guy with a gun, like you said, that's a racist. Which would lead me and you to classify him racist, classify him under Grand Wizard of KKK. But. And if you go on Fox, any person protesting is fucking, Antifa anarchists looking to destroy everything. And that's what the media on both sides are spinning. And it's just a tool to make people more divided, because now people who are watching either Fox or CNN, they're too dumb to fucking make any distinction or think about things critically, and they just buy into that narrative that they're pushing on you. And what happens? You get like brainwashed by that.
You get people like Ken. You get people like Ken who are scared for their life because 300 people just blew his gate off the hinges.
I don't want to even throw Ken under the bus, because when I heard him talk, he actually sounds like a pretty logical guy who thought things out. Ken was just doing what he had to do in the moment to defend himself, rightfully so. He wasn't acting in any unwarranted way, and you know what I mean. What would have been him acting in an unwarranted way would him to go outside of his property with his gun and start pointing it at people.
Just open fire.
Right. That would have been unwarranted. So what I'm saying is that the media is just looking to basically brainwash you to the fact where you think that everyone's either that KKK Grand Wizard or that Antifa anarchist looking to take over City Hall and whatnot. Meanwhile, most likely most people probably fall in between. They're not like that in any way whatsoever. Either way, and they're trying to.
There's more people out there like us,
right? They're trying to convince all those people out there like us that it's either one or the other. They're trying to pit you against the other, and if you don't do any research, you're going to fall victim to that shit.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people. I mean, I know from, military veterans to senior citizens, I've come across so many people, people that I might work with and stuff. Like the virus, the fear that the media spread about the virus has like broken them. And there's
I know people like that too.
And there's people who this, all the race war has driven them crazy. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like Ice-T was making, Ice Cube was making movies for Disney, children movie for Disney. And now on Instagram, he's this huge social justice warrior. And that's fine. That's his own opinion. But what are you feeding these people? You know what I mean? Like you're just promoting this uber extreme racist country that people don't really feel like that, of all races. There's more of us than we think. Like the silent majority, like the government should be scared. I really feel the government should be scared because the percentage of the sheep and the percentage of the mob and the percentage of the people who don't think like us, I think is much smaller than the percentage of the silent majority.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the mob is not a majority. No, not at all. And my main thing is, we come on this fucking podcast and complain about it all the time. Like, I want something done. And they're not actually getting anything concrete done.
No.
Like we said before, they're changing Aunt Jemima and they're going to rename the Redskins. Great. I want you to do something fucking-crete to help people, especially African-American people and people that have been affected by this fucked up society that we live in. That we have existed in, right? And what do I mean by that? I think I was telling you about how when I went to South Africa, I was learning a lot about the history while I was there, and they had this program. It was called like Mandela Homes, right? And they were basically when President Nelson Mandela came to power, he had an idea of there's in South Africa there was apartheid, which is basically like segregation and slavery. Similar. It's an interesting country because it has like a similar history that America has. Once they ended apartheid, a lot of the Africans, like the blacks, were living in really shanty towns, basically. And then the white people were on like really nice homes, and these things were like right across the street from each other. There's like no separation. So the president had the idea: let's make a program, right, where we'll give you the funds, we'll train you, right. If you live in one of these shanty towns, we'll train you how to be a construction worker. We'll give you the material, we'll give you the funds, and you rebuild your house, you rebuild your neighborhood better, right. That's boots on the ground, concrete. It didn't work 100%, right? I don't know why. I didn't have enough time to do the research behind the program, but that's a good idea. That's literally the government saying we're going to physically take resources and put them into neighborhoods that need it and improve them. So not only are people going to have better homes, if you maybe make a better place physically for people to live, you'll make better people just because they have a better place to live physically. And then on top of that, you're going to train those people a trade. Right now they could do something, pay them well. They don't need to resort to crime and whatnot. And then they could. You're giving people an opportunity to like break out of that mold that they've been stuck in forever because of the way society has fucked them over. That's like a boots on the ground concrete way. There's nothing in this country by anyone being proposed like that right now whatsoever.
No, there's definitely nothing being proposed. But I mean, just take a step back and look at it. At one point in this country, Trump had black unemployment down to its lowest percentage ever. Now, I know there's a ton of different things you could talk about it, but everyone so Trump's supposed to be the racist. And you know, if you don't vote for Democrats, you ain't black, just like Joe Biden said. Look at everyone who is making it harder for these communities to become better. You know what I mean? To what is Black Lives Matter? What is Joe Biden? What has all these Democratic mayors and governors done to get the unemployment rate back down? Wouldn't have that been something good? Like, you know what I mean? Like when it was at its lowest, that's something you all should have been proud of. That I'm sure that was something people were very proud of.
They'll never,
you know
they'll never toot the horn of a point that the president is also tooting. They'll never. That's how polarized things are. They'll never echo something Trump that's good. They'll never echo it ever.
So, which is ridiculous. And on top of it, then if you don't want to echo what Trump's done, why aren't you getting boots on the ground to do it yourself so you could take the credit for it? You
because
know
they don't. They don't have any intention of doing that. They don't have any. Nancy Pelosi, let's be clear, does not give a fuck about black people, right? At all.
No.
Point stop. Whatever. Don't like me for saying that. She doesn't, right? Because if you go look at her district, those neighborhoods are really bad condition, and it's not like a utopia because Nancy Pelosi has ran it for 50 years. It's not good. You know what I mean? And people there's going to be new people born. They're going to be born into that same mold, and they're never going to get ahead. And that's Nancy Pelosi's not doing anything about it. She goes Capitol Hill and she fucking wants to yell at everybody else about it, but then when you go look in her own backyard, it looks like shit. Maybe that's a right-wing talking point that a lot of right-wing guys are using, but you know what? It's the fucking truth. Sorry. That's what it is.
Yeah. Good thing the truth and facts don't matter anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. Well, like I said before, we're going to just make up our own shit here anyway because that's the way things go now.
It's ridiculous. You know, I always question it too. I brought it up before. I mean, when is it time to like just stop? And this is going to be biased coming from me, but you know, for decades, the black community has been voting Democrat on all these promises of everything, and nothing's changed. When is it just to like, let's take a shot in the dark and vote Republican? You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, Republicans are no better. I find them extremely fucking lazy. You know what I mean? I really don't feel they do much to begin with. They don't do anything to back Trump.
Yeah, like I'm making fun of, I'm criticizing Pelosi, but I don't see any Republicans besides that one black guy who had a good idea about police reform.
Scott,
yeah. He had a bill apparently, and Democrats, of course, wanted nothing to do with it because he's a Republican.
Yep.
So,
yep, because Trump would have got police reform under his belt, and it would have been a Republican.
You can't
funded.
give Republicans any wins.
Yeah, and I bet you, if a Democrat came up with some police reform bill, it would be so out of control, and it would be like we're going to abolish ICE and no one's going to be arrested for being illegal alien, and there's going to be no undercover anti-crime
more
units,
gun laws, more gun restriction laws. Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be just this insane crock of shit that wouldn't make anything better. And for all I know, is the Republican one would have made things worse as well. But you know, like you scream police reform, and then you have the balls to vote against it.
Yeah, that's a fucking great point, dude. And that's exactly what they did. Or I don't think it's even that they voted against it; it's that they didn't even have a conversation with the guy. And he said, he's like, I forget his name, but it was definitely Scott something, right? He was like, I wrote this. He's like, I knew for certain the Democrats weren't going to want my first draft, right? He's like, so I invited them to come and make amendments and work together on it. He's like, they didn't even entertain coming in to help write it with him. You know what I mean? So obviously they have, and this is an African American man we're talking about here who wrote this thing. They didn't even want to entertain him because he's Republican. Yeah. What the fuck are we doing here, folks? We need to work together and actually get things fixed. Most of the government and the media are doing the complete opposite, but they're selling to you that they are doing it. They're selling it to you that they're doing it. They're fixing things, and they're on the right side of history when they're actually doing the complete opposite. And most people, I'm sorry to say, are fucking lapping that shit up.
Yeah, when is it upon the people to start just voting a different way? You know what I mean? Like I asked you and Jamie, like, what's it going to take you to have to leave the Democratic Party? And I know it's so biased coming from me, but like some people really need to sit back. Like there's one party who wants to get the country back onto the economic tracks so we could have a prosperous country that we all live in, whether you're black, white, green, blue, yellow, silver, gray, whatever. If the economy is doing good, we have the opportunity for all of us to doing good. And then there's another political party that's fine with tearing down statues and burning buildings and having shootings on the rise. You know what I mean? Like, when do you finally just be like, enough's enough? I got to vote. And the problem though is you got to choose between a giant douche and a turd sandwich. But
who I'm gonna vote for now? I'm gonna vote for the fish sticks guy. Because Kanye is running for president now. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably just going to vote for him just because, you know what? Why not? Things are so fucking crazy nowadays. I wasn't going to vote for Trump or Biden anyway. So now Kanye is going to throw his name in the fucking in the ring. Why not?
I think Tom Cruise is running for office too.
Yeah, all right. But he's normal. You know, that'll work out well. Yeah. He's not crazy in any way. That should work. Yeah. Let's wrap it up on a last point here. Something you'll like. I wanted to talk about. I saw before we started the podcast, actually, that do you remember how the New York was looking into a law that was going to make gun owners need liability insurance? Did you heard about this? I saw that a revision, like it didn't happen yet, right? But a revision happened and it's being pushed again. I got a notification on my phone. I have some sort of notification set up around certain laws that are in New York State's like Congress, and it'll literally like email me when something new happens regarding that law. So basically, a revision's been made, and they're going to try and push this again. But I wanted to bring up this point of, okay, like they're looking to definitely get back on the gun control thing. Obviously, something's happening in the background, or even if it's not in the mainstream news yet. Meanwhile, in reality, in New York City, over the weekend and the past week, there was fucking like hundreds of shootings. I think 48 over a course of 2 or 3 days. You know, most, of course, in poor neighborhoods, African-American neighborhoods, of course, again. They're the ones taking the brunt of this shitty stuff going on, right?
They're the ones.
Let me finish here, right? These shootings, of course, are being done with illegal weapons. Illegal handguns, illegal shotguns, everything illegal. I haven't heard a single fucking story of a legal gun owner going on a shooting spree, rampage, being involved in a gang. Oh, yeah, a gang owner, he's got a legal gun. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's all illegal weapons. Meanwhile, in the background, New York State's starting to turn the gears. How are we going to pass more gun control against illegal gun owners who have nothing to fucking do with what's going on in the streets right now, all the shootings? Not one of the shootings have anything to do with legal gun holders, but the gears are churning. We're going to come after the guns again. You know, what the fuck, dude? It's ridiculous.
Yep. So 2020 has been the greatest year for a very long time. I won't say America's history, but
the greatest year.
Yeah. 2020 has been the greatest year for American gun sales in a very long time. With the economy down, gun sales and ammo sales are up over 40%. Mm-hmm. There's something like over 2 million new gun owners in this year alone. Okay? It's almost like the legal gun owners aren't the problem. If 40% increase in sales while the economy's in the toilet right now, so that means the little bit of money people have left, they're buying guns and ammos. Gun retailers can't keep ammo and guns on the shelves anymore because they see the greatest thing about all these riots and the coronavirus and the way the government's treating us with lockdowns and falling back and going backwards on their lockdowns and stuff like that is how important the Second Amendment is.
Right
and
now you see it.
And it's amazing to see that gun sales are through the roof, but there's no shootings. All these shootings are gang related.
Right. Yeah, they are. They're criminality related.
Yep. And one of the funniest things I read today, I think Chicago had one of its deadliest holiday weekends in years or whatever. And they only confiscated like under 20 illegal handguns. We're talking about Chicago here. You really only found 20 guns to get off the street. That isn't even a drop in the ocean.
And you know what? You say only 20? That's a lot of fucking guns, dude. That's 20 illegally armed individuals roaming the streets.
I wish I had 20
people armed with guns could cause a lot of damage in one city, in one little tiny area.
And that's not even a drop in the bucket.
Right. I know what you're saying.
You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
a drop in a bucket, but it's a lot is not even a drop in a bucket compared to how many are probably out there. But then, like I said, again, they want to come and make more laws that are going to target legal gun owners like me or like you, who have zero intention of ever using any of our guns in any criminal way whatsoever. I don't ever want to use my gun against a person ever for any reason. It'll be the last resort I would ever use it. I would try and reason or talk or just walk away before I would ever use the gun. Yet you want to make it harder for me to own a gun, but you don't do anything about the criminals with them illegally.
Yeah. We talked about 2 videos today, Ken and Karen with their guns that were legally bought, and then we talked about that drive-by shooting that happened in New York. Who do you think would be the bad guy in the gun debates?
They would. The media would portray them as the bad guy. And look, as a legal gun owner, I'll even criticize the way they handled their guns in both situations because they straight up pointed them at people. Maybe they don't have enough practice, and that's one of the, me and you love guns, right? One of the biggest things is you got to practice with that shit. You got to practice shooting it. You got to practice how to hold it. You got to think about what you would do with it in a situation. You don't want to just straight up point it at somebody like that. You want to you want to be disarming of the situation. You want to get the situation calm. That doesn't mean draw your gun and point it at somebody. So I'll even criticize them on that. But they were in the moment, and they're not police officers. They're not military commandos. Right. You know what I mean? It's a little understandable to say that they didn't handle their gun well. But regardless of the fact that I don't think they handled their gun well, they were within their rights to not handle it well. Let's put it that way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But meanwhile, some little 6-year-old girl watched her father get gunned down in broad daylight on a street corner, and that's not even going to make the mainstream
not
news.
At all. Nope.
We need tougher gun laws, but that guy's still going to have his gun.
And when you want to talk about it practically and logically, the tougher gun laws are not going to stop a shooting like that happened to that guy the other day. They're not, because the criminal does not give a fuck about the laws. There's a reason he is a criminal because he breaks the law, right? Criminals do not follow the law. So they are not going to be affected by another gun law. New York City already has the strictest gun laws in the country. You can't have concealed carry in New York City. You can only have a gun on your premises, in your home. You can't take it outside of your home unless you're going to the range to practice with it. The gun has to be separate from the ammo. They have to be in trigger. The trigger has to be locked. It has to be in a locked box. Like I said, both of them have to be separate. There's a million fucking rules in the way. It took me over a year to get my premises license.
And you have to pay for it
in New York
every
City.
step
I got to pay for it. I had to be fingerprinted. God knows how many background checks I went through. I had to go to New York Police Department headquarters and be interviewed by a detective. Why do you want the gun? This, that. I had to go buy the gun, bring the gun there to be inspected by them because they need to make sure you don't have any crazy shit on your gun. What more do you want a legal gun owner to use to do? You know what I mean? You think any criminal went through all that shit that I went through to get my gun? Nope. And now you need to put more things in the way for me. On top of the fact that you can't even bring it outside anyway. You can in New York City. You cannot bring it outside to carry for any reason besides to go to the range, and you're not theoretically carrying it. You're transporting it from one place to another. Yep. So what else would we like to do? You'd be in trouble anyway. Yeah. It's shit like this that leads me to believe your crazy conspiracy stuff about how they want to. It's step by step, and one of the steps is to disarm everybody because then they can't fight back against the agenda that they want to, press on us all. It kind of makes sense. That makes me think that your crazy conspiracy Q whatever the fuck guys shit sometimes makes sense. Yeah, they're not going to come straight out and tell us, oh, we want to disarm you because we want to start a new world order and put you all in cages, every single person in the world. They're not going to say that, of course. Obviously, they're going to say, no, it's for your own protection, for your own good, because there's shootings going on. We need to make it harder for people to get guns.
People are actually dumb enough to be so willing to sign on to their own demise.
It's a great way to put it, buddy.
It's just completely uneducated, cheap. It's ridiculous. Once coronavirus hit in California, people were appalled at how hard it was to get a gun. Because the media leads you to believe that you go on Amazon, I want an AR-14 Bushwhacker, and it just gets delivered to your fucking door with a 100-round magazine. You had to wait 2-3 weeks, and you couldn't get what you wanted, and you had to find some cheaper bullshit, and you ended up coming home with a duck gun. Yep.
Yeah. That's it's not that easy, and I agree with there should be laws, right? We shouldn't make the legal way to get a gun so easy that a criminal can then go legally get a gun. It should be hard, right?
Yeah.
It should be hard, but it's pretty fucking hard already. I don't think we need to make it any more harder. Like, I think the system is pretty good. If you want to improve maybe the way background checks work and make one universal, easy system for it to work, then sure, I'm all for that because that will make things better, not worse. You know what I mean? But they're not interested in anything like that. It's all just fucking horseshit. I got to get liability insurance to be a gun owner now. Another fucking bill. Another bill.
Yeah.
On like the middle class or whoever. Another thing to leech your money away from you.
So you got to pay for that, and you also got to register it, and you got to register what type of gun you own, where it is, who who's in the house. So now when they do come to collect it, they know that I, in this specific address, only have X number of guns with this type of caliber, so they could be prepared already to how to overwhelm me.
Yeah,
and, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're really deep. You're thinking real. You're thinking 20 steps ahead. But yeah, you're right.
Think of it. If you live in a house with 4 people and you have like 25 guns,
right?
You know what I mean?
You're going to be hard to take down.
Yeah, they're going to know that you need to show up with 50 people. You're one guy living in your condo and you got your little 22 rifle.
Yeah,
sheriff's department shows up.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a good point, dude.
So
it's a good point. I mean, that's really fucking deep into how that they're going to put that much effort behind rounding up every single person's gun. But you're right.
How would you do it if you had that much power and that much organization and the information at your hands? How would you do it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take a single, I would take every precautionary step there is, and you eradicate everyone you need to.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, I think I'm gonna leave it with this. The best society, the most polite society, is a well-armed society.
Yep.
Let's put it that way.
Yep. I'm down with that.
Yep.
All right, so we're good here.
We are good.
It's been
buddy. Did it about an hour and 20 minutes.
It's an hour and 20 minutes of complaining because
this one went really fast, dude. This one went really fast.
It did, actually.
Yeah, so I'll let you sign us off. Go.
All right, thank you guys for listening to us. Catch us on Instagram at 2DoomedMen_podcast. And then our Facebook, our Twitter, and our YouTube is 2 Doomed Men. Please give us likes and shares, find followers for us, comment on all of our stuff. We love to hear from you guys. We want to talk to you guys. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us how you feel. We'd love to have like a segment where we could actually bring this stuff up, and we will reply to you. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and then you could listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, and Spotify. So hopefully you guys like this episode and tune in next week when we drop another one.
Before we end it, your sign off there actually just reminded me of something a listener asked us to talk about, and I totally forgot about it until you just brought up the fact that. So let's add a little 5 minutes here bonus session. I want to get into this just because I promised this person that I would talk about on the next podcast we did. So my friend Carrie, who lives in California, listened to a couple of our podcasts recently, and her request was that we talk about who we think is the best actor, action actor, like put out like a Steven Seagal, Bruce Willis. Like, who do we think is like the best one out of all of them? I get my phone, but I'm using my phone to record right now.
I'd say Sylvester Stallone. I always loved Rambo and Rocky and all that shit.
Stallone, yeah, good old Italian American guy too. Yeah. I like Stallone. Stallone.
Yeah.
And what about you? I'm gonna say my favorite, or who I think is one of the best action actors ever. He's got just an insane amount of movies. Is Bruce Willis. I mean, guy has been in every fucking movie. From when I was a little kid to now. I mean, Con Air.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time is the Die Hard one. So he could keep making those forever. I'll keep watching him like an idiot.
The last one was crazy.
Yeah, the last one was crazy.
The last one was like a Fast and Furious movie.
My favorite one was what was it, 3, where he was in New York with Samuel L. Jackson and they're running around. Yes. It was such like a New York movie, and the guy was making them do all that crazy shit. So in my opinion, Bruce Willis is the
Gruber's
best.
brother.
Hans Gruber, yeah, which is funny because it actually ties into that meme that we made the other day of us as Karen&Karen with Hans Gruber. Yeah.
Yep.
So Bruce Willis is my favorite, Carrie. But thank you for the little idea, something to talk about. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
All right, so that's all, everybody.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, and potentially might be a crossover episode for the return of Fucked Up Friday with the 3 Pendejos.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that out as well. And we'll have more news on Fucked Up Friday if it's happening.
We'll post it on the Instagram, but something's in the works. Stay tuned, peeps.
There we go.
Later.
Bye.